हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम। जय श्रील प्रभु।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत
माता जी
प्रणाम।
दंडवत प्रणाम। जय श्रील प्रभु।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
नव्या माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे कृष्ण। श्वेता माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे कृष्ण। Please give me 2 more minutes. We are starting just now.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम। जय श्रील प्रभुपाद श्रीनिवास प्रभु।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
तुषार प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु। हरे कृष्ण। Okay, we'll begin now. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। So today we are starting with Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion. This is another book. Today will be an introduction of this book. Um, this is another book written by Srila Rupa Goswami. Now, can somebody tell me if we discussed about Rupa Goswami in the beginning of Nectar of Instruction? Does anyone remember? Rupa Goswami in the beginning of Nectar of Instruction.
Prabhuji, you gave a short intro, if I remember right.
Okay. I mean, as long as I gave some introduction, we are good. I mean, there is a book written on the life and teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami. In a sense, Rupa Goswami was an associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu personally, when he was on the tour to Vrindavan, he met Rupa Goswami in Allahabad, and there it is described that Mahaprabhu spoke to Rupa Goswami at Prayag and explained the process of devotional service. It is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya entered into the heart of Rupa Goswami and enlightened his heart. And then Lord Chaitanya gave instruction to Rupa Goswami, whatever I have described it to you, based on the Vedic scriptures, write books. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself did not write any book. He spread and he gave freely love of God to all living entities. But he gave this service to Rupa Goswami to write and establish the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. It is described, if we read these two books, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, which is we are discussing now, these two books, then everything we need to know to practice Krishna consciousness from beginning stage to the stage of perfection is described in these two books. One of our acharya says, in 50 paisa, you can go back home back to order. 25 paise by Nectar of Instruction, 25 paise by Nectar of Devotion. The original name given by Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Rupa Goswami was summarized by Srila Prabhupada, and he gave the name Nectar of Devotion. Sindhu means ocean, Rasa means uh, uh, Rasamrita means nectar, and Bhakti is devotion. So it's Nectar of Devotion right there. And we will discuss the detailed meaning of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also today, why Rupa Goswami gave this meaning. Rupa Goswami, like those who are aware, Srimati Radharani is the internal potency of Lord Shri Krishna. Srimati Radharani is assisted by gopis and manjaris. Just a very brief introduction. Gopis are, like if you heard, Srimati Radharani has 8 assistants who help Srimati Radharani in service to Shri Krishna. Shri Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. So she has friends and she has assistants. Friends are almost the same age as Srimati Radharani, like Lalita Devi, Vishakha Devi, Champaklata, Indulekha, Sudevi, Chitra Sakhi. So like there are 8 assistants of Srimati Radharani. Then there are eight friends of Srimati Radharani. They are of the same age. Then there are younger gopis who are, Srimati Radharani is always 14 years around. Shri Krishna is 16 years. Srimati Radharani is 14 years. And her friends are of the same age. Like Lalita Sakhi is 1 day elder. Vishakha Sakhi is exactly the same age. So they are all within a difference of 1 or 2 months. And these are their eternal ages. Then there are those who are younger. Um, They are in the age of 11 and 12, 2-3 years younger than the Sakhis and friends of Srimati Radharani. The technical word used in scriptures is they are called manjaris. And it is described there are millions of manjaris. They very closely assist Srimati Radharani in her service to Swayam Bhagwan Shri Krishna. Srila Prabhupada describes one cannot serve Shri Krishna directly. One has to serve Shri Krishna either through Balaram or through Srimati Radharani. And to serve them directly is also very difficult. So we serve Srimati Radharani through her servants, or we serve Shri Balaram through his servants. So Srila Prabhupada gave us the mood of servant, developing the mood of servant, because in spiritual world, that's how we are going to serve. We cannot directly serve. We always serve through servants. So here we have spiritual master. Spiritual master is a representative of either Srimati Radharani or Balaram, and they serve Lord Krishna. Spiritual master should be seen as direct servant, or the Raghunath Das Goswami, one of the associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, describes in one of his book called Manasiksha. The spiritual master should be seen as the most confidential servant of Radha and Krishna. Most confidential. Now, who is called a confidential servant? To whom Srimati Radharani can be very frank, who can render very, one is service, one is confidential servant. Confidential servant means you are very open and you get to do many intimate services that many cannot do. So the spiritual master should be seen as the most confidential servant of Radha and Krishna. Now, we cannot directly serve, but through the medium of spiritual master, who serves Radha and Krishna most confidentially, through him or her, through that spiritual master, he can engage us also in the confidential service of Shri Radha and Krishna. So, Rupa Goswami, it is said that there are billions of friends of Srimati Radharani, and among them 1100 are supreme, among them 108 are supreme, among 108 two are supreme, and among two one is supreme, and that is Srimati Radharani among all the gopis. And it is described that among there are billions of manjaris also, and it is described among all of them 108 are supreme. Among those 108, 8 are supreme. They are called Ashtamanjaris. Among those 8, 2 is supreme. Among those 2, 1 is supreme. And that supreme among all the billions of manjaris is called Rupa Manjari. Her name is Rupa Manjari. These are eternal pastimes of the Lord. Rupa Manjari descended in this material world to assist Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Radha and Krishna. When Radha and Krishna came as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa Manjari, the most confidential servant of Srimati Radharani, like the most confidential servant of Srimati Radharani, came to assist her in the form of Rupa Goswami. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave these teachings to Rupa Goswami, although he is an eternal associate of Srimati Radharani. And he wrote many scriptures to describe how one can get access to Vrindavan. And the Samam Bonum, or the most confidential literature, or the masterpiece among all the writings of Srila Rupa Goswami, is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is a book of Tattva. Tattva means the everything one needs to know to go back to Godhead is in this book. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu describes in detail the different kinds of devotional service, the important items of devotional service, the offenses against devotional service that we should avoid. Anything one can think of, anything one needs to know is mentioned in this book. And Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is also one of my favorite seminar series, this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And this book, personally for me also, is a guideline to progress. Many times devotees read Srimad Bhagavatam, they read Chaitanya Charitamrita, and they come back and read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Then they again read various scriptures, and then they again come back to read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This book is a guideline for a devotee who is practicing day one, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 40 years, 50 years. This book remains the guideline because it's a thick book. Actually, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is a very deep tattva, very deep literature. It has total over 50 chapters, but in our stages of Krishna consciousness, we are allowed to read only 20 chapters, around 20 chapters. Rest of the chapters are way more confidential, that we don't approach them unless we are instructed by spiritual master to approach them. That's why it's called Rasa Amrita. It is the nectar of devotion, or the ocean of nectar of devotion. There is so much bhakti ras imbibed in this particular book. Goes to different level of divinity and all the way to perfection. Okay, so any question at this point of time about the introduction of this book or the position of Rupa Goswami? One more last thing I would like to say. Everybody is a servant of Rupa Goswami. All our acharyas and our spiritual master, everybody is a servant of Rupa Goswami or Rupa Manjari, because Rupa Goswami is the most confidential, and everybody serves under guidance of Rupa Goswami. Like we heard about Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Charitamrita is written by a Vaishnav saint called Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who was the Siksha disciple of Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami, Siksha disciple of Rupa Goswami. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, at the end of every chapter, he writes, Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade. Shri Rupa Raghunath Padayara As Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishna Das. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Padayara As. Asa means my desire. Asha. Pade means the feet. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Padayara As. Desiring the lotus feet of Rupa and Raghunath. Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohi Krishnadas. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says, I am writing this essence of all the literature which is the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and my desire to write Chaitanya Charitamrita. What do I want to get out? What benediction I want for writing the Chaitanya Charitamrita? He says, I want to attain the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. Rupa Raghunatha Padayara As Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohi Krishna Das. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is Prabhupada's spiritual master, at the very end of his life, when he was about to leave his body in Calcutta, in a temple called Bagh Bazar Mandir, that one of the first Gaudiya temple built by Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada's spiritual master. He became very sick when he was in Puri, and then he was brought to Bengal, the main temple, Bagh Bazar Mandir in Calcutta. And he was just the last few moments of his leaving the body. And he asked his disciple, sing this Vaishnava Bhajan. And the Vaishnava Bhajan is Shri Rupa Manjari Pada He Mora Sampada Shri Rupa Manjari Pada Se Mora Sampada Se Mora Bhajana Pujana Se Mora Prana Nidhi Se Mora Pancha Siddhi Sei mora prana nidhi, sei mora pancha siddhi. So it begins with Shri Rupa Manjari Pada, Sei Mora Sampada. My life and soul, my wealth, everything is Shri Rupa Manjari, the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami. Um, Sei Mora Bhajana Pujan. My bhajan is to worship and to pray to Shri Rupa Goswami. Sai Mora Prana Nidhi, he is my life. Sai Mora Pancha Siddhi, the goal of my siddhis, perfection, is to attain the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami. So this was the last song by Saraswati Thakur. Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, his father, his spiritual master, Shiksha Guru, or his father Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he also holds the lotus feet of Sri Rupa Goswami and worships and pray to him for perfection. Our Srila Prabhupada, when he was living in Radha Damodar Mandir in Vrindavan, he wanted to live in Radha Damodar Mandir, where his room has a small window. From the window, he would see the samadhi of Srila Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami Samadhi, full body Samadhi, after Goswami Pad disappeared from this material world and joined Lord Krishna's pastimes in the eternal Dham. His body was given Samadhi at that Mandir, Radhamudar Mandir. Prabhupada stayed 8 years over there. At one instance, Srila Prabhupada revealed to one of his disciples that Rupa Goswami came to me. Prabhupada was writing books. He was crying in this wild existence, in his wilderness, writing books, begging for the mercy of Rupa and Raghunath, Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Goswami, so they can help him to fulfill that desire of his spiritual master Saraswati Thakur. His prayer was, my Guru Maharaj has given me an impossible instruction to spread the Krishna consciousness language all over the world, and it is not possible without the mercy of Rupa and Raghunath. And Srila Prabhupada every day would do sweeping and mopping in the Samadhi Mandir by the Samadhi of Rupa Goswami. And while he would sweep, he would pray, O Rupa, please show your mercy. O Raghunath, please show your mercy. And Srila Prabhupada revealed to one of his disciples that Rupa Goswami gave me darshan and told me that everything is arranged. And Swamiji, you go ahead and everything is arranged. And in the introduction to Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada writes, this Krishna consciousness movement is guided under the direction of Srila Rupa Goswami. Again, this entire International Society of Krishna Consciousness, this Hare Krishna movement, is guided under the direction of Srila Rupa Goswami. And all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, all of us, everybody under ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, all the followers of Prabhupada, the name given to us is Rupanugas. Anuga means to follow. Anuga. Rupanuga means the follower of Rupa Goswami. All of us are the follower of Rupa Goswami. If you see the altar, there is a picture of 6 Goswamis. In the middle, the central one is Srila Rupa Goswami. Every ISKCON temple, we worship Srila Rupa Goswami. Other than Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, the only books that Srila Prabhupada translated, now there are books by all the Goswamis, books by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, books by Jiva Goswami, there are books by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, there are books by all the Vaishnavacharyas. Srila Prabhupada has very less time. He did not even have time to finish Srimad Bhagavatam completely. Still, Srila Prabhupada gave priority to personally translate Rupa Goswami's these 2 books. nectar of instruction, which is Upadeshamrita, and nectar of devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. After translating them, he gave this literature to us, and then he went back to Chaitanya Charitamrita and then to Srimad Bhagavatam. And the only Goswami's book that Prabhupada himself translated is Rupa Goswami's these two books, because they are the essence of how to progress in our Krishna consciousness. And there are many pastimes of Rupa Goswami and his association with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and various dealings and teachings, and there are many pastimes. And for that, there is a lot of literature written about Rupa Goswami. So, okay, how do you feel? Do you feel some connection with Rupa Goswami? Do you feel an understanding of the position of Rupa Goswami and how important it is to get an understanding of these two books? Anyone?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Any questions so far? Or do we dive into the subject matter of the first chapter? Okay. Okay. Nectar of Devotion, by His Divine Grace, summary study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So first, Nectar of Devotion is the summary study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The force which drives everyone to work hard is called rasa or mellow. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada compares everyone is searching after happiness. There is a mundane happiness, and then there is rasa. Rasa means happiness. So the force which drives everyone to work hard is called rasa or mellow. We find some rasa in whatever we do. That's why we do what we do. Whether it is taking care of responsibilities, whether it is job, whether it is going to some places to visit, whether it is something to eat, whatever we do, what makes us work hard? We are all working very hard in various directions, but the force which drives everyone to work hard is called rasa. जैसे in Hindi rasa means कुछ in Hindi like कुछ मजा आ रहा है, like कुछ या तो कमा रहे हैं या खा रहे हैं या कुकिंग कर रहे हैं, तो उसमें कुछ रसा है इसलिए वो काम कर रहे हैं. So the force which drives everyone to work hard is called rasa. Rasa are of two kinds. One is material rasa, mundane rasa, chapala rasa or chapala sukha, and one is called bhakti rasa. Mundane sukh, material sukh, goes in the phases of bhog and tyag. You enjoy a material pleasure and you become bored by it, and then you renounce it. Then you run after something, you feel very happy of achieving it, you work very hard to achieve some goal, some material goal, you achieve it, and then you realize actually there is no pleasure now. Now there is more responsibility with bigger roles and bigger, like more and more, we become more and more established in this material world. Now we work even harder to maintain what we have. So, and then at some point of time, that does not bring any pleasure. In the beginning, the pleasure is there in the hope of acquisition, in the hope of acquiring, but then we see that it doesn't come over a period of time. So this mundane rasa or chapala sukha, because it is temporary by nature, it diminishes. Every pleasure in this material world diminishes to such an extent that some of the pleasures becomes boring, or when they become boring, when there is no more rasa in them, then comes renunciation, tyag. Why Tyag comes? Because this doesn't appeal to me anymore. And then we look for some other form of Chapala Sukha, material pleasure. And then we keep changing. So this is the nature of material pleasure. It is temporary and it becomes boring. Um, and then it goes in the form of Bhog and Tyag. And what one gets from this Chapala Sukha is 8.4 million species of life. There is repetition of birth and death. And based on the Chapala Sukha, the mundane rasa one is aspiring for, one is given a form of life where one can fulfill those desires. So this is something that is about, so everyone is working hard in this material world. Some are working hard for bhakti rasa, some are working hard for mundane rasa. And that becomes our discrimination, what I need to work for. So Prabhupada would say, in this material world, yes, we have responsibilities. We have to take care of the maintenance of our dependents, but don't work more than 8 hours. And use the remnants of your time, remaining of your time, to acquire the bhakti rasa. We saw in Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami says, uh, Riyasa is not good. Riyasa is over endeavor for mundane rasa. So this is about mundane rasa, but bhakti rasa. Bhakti rasa is the pleasure of devotion. Bhakti rasa, or the nectar of devotion. Nectar of devotion is the English translation of bhakti rasa. Bhakti rasa also makes us work very hard. We do so much service, we stretch ourselves, we try to read, find time to chant, we try to serve Vaishnavas, we try to visit the holy places and the temples. We are discussing our nectar of devotion here, so we took time out from our daily schedule in spite of family, kids. It's an endeavor. Taking time out and focusing on discussing about this particular subject matter. This is also a work, but then we are working towards bhakti rasa. Why? Because we all have a common desire, common goal. All of us in the room is I want to experience bhakti rasa. So the force which drives everyone to work hard is called rasa or mellow. Bhakti rasa is a mellow different from ordinary rasa enjoyed by mundane workers. That's why it's called bhakti rasa. And then it's called Sindhu. Sindhu means this rasa of bhakti is like an ocean. The ocean never dries up. Sometimes the river may dry up in intense heat or various things, but the ocean is very deep. So likewise, the happiness in bhakti rasa is compared to a Sindhu. It is an ocean. And then Amrit. You know what Amrit means? Amrit means nectar. Amrit. Amrit means like if you have seen, like sometime there was the churning of milk ocean. Why? Because if by churning milk ocean, Amrit will come. And what is the result of Amrit? If one drinks that Amrit, there is no more death. Amrit means if somebody dies, you feed him Amrit, he will come back to life. This is Amrit. So it's called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu because if somebody drinks or reads this book, follows the teachings of this book, then no more cycle of birth and death. Mundane rasa becomes boring, brings renunciation, and leads to 8.4 million species of life. Bhakti rasa, it is ocean of happiness. Chapala sukha means very little and temporary. Sindhu means Sindhu and Amrita. Amrita Sindhu means it is eternal because it's Amrita, and Sindhu is because like an ocean. So Rupa Goswami gave this name very intelligently. This is called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I request all of you, this book is available in vedabase.com, It's available all over the temples, available in Amazon. Take this book and read and see how it feels. See what happens. And then another thing it is described in this book is Bhakti Rasa can be experienced only in human form of life. Right now we're discussing the introduction aspect. Only in human form of life, the happiness is like an ocean available in devotional service. It is compared to Amrit because it gives one an eternal life. And this rasa continues. Another aspect is Bhakti Rasa continues after death. Mundane rasa ends with the death. When death comes, cannot enjoy. Whatever we are enjoying, cannot enjoy. Cannot enjoy the position, cannot enjoy the wealth, cannot enjoy the relationship, cannot enjoy the fame, cannot enjoy anything. When death comes, chapter is over. Bhakti Rasa is not like that. That's another reason it's called Amrita. It gives it, after we leave the body, the soul that has experienced Bhakti Rasa at a soul level without the body continues to experience the Bhakti Rasa. So very, very thoughtful name is given Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu. Okay. Then Bhakti Rasa are total 12 in numbers. Rasa means, it says rasa or mellow. So there are 5 primary rasas and there are 7 secondary rasas that we will discuss gradually. 5 primary rasa are Santa ras, neutrality, Dasya ras, servitorship, Sakhya ras, friendship with Krishna, Vatsalya ras, Yashoda Maya, and Madhurya ras, Srimati Radharani, Gopis and Manjaris. So there is 5 primary rasas and there are 7 secondary rasas like happiness, virya, fear. So these are all various secondary rasas. So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is very deep. It's mixed of primary and secondary rasas. Primary rasa is the primary relationship with Krishna. A secondary rasas is in that primary relationship one can has various secondary rasas. So there are total 12 rasas. Then Bhakti Rasa comes under the Antaranga Shakti of Krishna. It is found in the spiritual world, Bhakti Rasa. Or those who are under the Antaranga Shakti of Krishna. Lord Krishna says, Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashrita. That those who are Mahatmas that take shelter of my Antaranga Shakti. Daivim prakriti, divine potency of mine. Antaranga Shakti. Bhakti Rasa is experienced under Antaranga Shakti, internal potency of Krishna or the spiritual potency of Krishna. But mundane Rasa is experienced under Bahiranga Shakti or Maya potency. Under the influence of Maya potency, one tries to aspire or runs after or experiences mundane Rasa under Antaranga Shakti, Srimati Radharani's influence, spiritual potency, which is found in the spiritual world, or devotees who are sincerely practicing Krishna consciousness, Bhakti Rasa is found there. And then the last point Nectar of Devotion describes is one can get entrance into the Bhakti Rasa only by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. If we want Bhakti Rasa, we cannot experience Bhakti Rasa by our own effort, but it is by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Chaitanya Charitamrita explains, Brahmand Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Ji, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. The living entity is going through 8.4 million species on different planetary systems. He is this is called Brahmand. He is searching in Brahmand, but one soul is fortunate who gets the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. By the mercy of Guru and Krishna, one get a seed of bhakti. And that jiva who get the seed of bhakti is very fortunate. One who gets that seed, he carefully protect that seed, water the seed by hearing and chanting. Hare Krishna. So this is the introduction to nectar of devotion. Okay. Anything here? Any reflection? Any questions so far about this introduction? Okay. Now something more on bhakti rasa can be experienced if one follows process described in nectar of devotion. We want to taste bhakti rasa right now. I mean, naturally every day we chant, we want to taste the bhakti rasa. Um, uh, like the bhakti rasa is like an ocean, we can taste an aspect of it, but if we want to taste the ocean of bhakti rasa, then it is not possible to taste right away. Nectar of devotion will elaborate the process by which one can experience the ocean of bhakti rasa. That's the importance of this scripture. Then bhakti begins with vidhi marg and takes one to rag marg. Vidhi marg is both vidhi marg is practicing bhakti as rules and regulations, like chanting 16 rounds, following the regulative principles, accepting a spiritual master, watering tulasi, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, associating with devotees, visiting the holy places, worshipping the deities of the Lord. So this is Vidhi Marg. Vidhi Marg means these are the prescribed methods of bhakti devotional service, and we practice them. It begins there. And then as one does it, in the beginning, one may not have any experience with like deep attachment to holy name may not be there. The interest and association of devotees may not be there. There may not be any taste in reading scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. There may not be any inspiration to accept a spiritual master. There not be any inclination to worship the deities of the Lord. None of these things may be there, and that's why it's called the beginning stage, but we start anyways. We do this principle anyways, and this is called vidhi marg because this is what will help us to develop bhakti. There are prescribed methods how you can deepen your devotional service, and there are 64 of such prescribed methods, and this book Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu will elaborately describe all 64 in detail, how to practice bhakti in 64 ways. It begins with bhakti, and then bhakti means we hear from spiritual master, we hear from devotees, we hear from scriptures, guru, sadhu, shastra. And then as we practice this, the heart becomes purified. Chetodarpana marjana, as the heart is purified, one start developing feelings, love for these processes, for worshipping the deity, love for chanting the holy name, love for reading Bhagavatam, love for association, love for visiting the holy place. One start developing attachment toward these aspects. And gradually, the amount of attachment we develop is proportionate to the purity of our heart. And gradually we come to the Raga Marg. Raga Marg is spontaneous attachment. And first 21 chapters that we will study as a part of this seminar, first I think 15 or 16 describes the 64 items of devotional service, and the remaining items describe the spontaneous path of devotional service. Jiva has natural tendency to love someone. He here repose to Krishna. It's natural for us to love, and the love is actually meant for Krishna, because Jiva Swarupa Krishna Nityadas, we are part and parcel of Krishna. And when we repose that love towards Krishna, that is, and how to reawaken that love for Krishna is the subject matter of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Then Bhagavad Gita is a foundational study, words of Krishna. Content is philosophy of Krishna consciousness, begins with you are not a body but an eternal spirit soul, ends with abandon all variety of religion and just surrender unto Krishna. Then Srimad Bhagavatam is a graduate study. The basic discussion is the activities of Krishna. Content is character and pastimes of Krishna and his devotees. Begins with rejecting all cheating religion and get to the essence, bhakti. Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, verse number 2. We discussed in our Srimad Bhagavatam seminars. Uh, Dharma projita kaitavattaro nirmat saranam satam. Dharma projita kaitavattaro. Kaitavattara. Projita means completely rejects dharma, all the mundane religions, all the cheating religions, and begins with uh, uh, Nirmat Saranam Satam. This book, Srimad Bhagavatam, is for souls who are free from all vices, who are completely pure at heart, and describes the bhakti aspect. That is the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita ends with describing how Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead and one has to surrender to Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam describes um, now having surrendered and having understood that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, beginning is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It rejects all the cheating religions and get to the core principles of bhakti and describes the pure bhakti, the pure devotees, and Lord Krishna. And then it ends the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, uh, uh, 12th canto, the last chapter, and the last verse describes Nama Sankirtan. The essence of entire Srimad Bhagavatam is to perform Nam Sankirtan. Sarva Papa Nashana. If anybody perform Nam Sankirtan, all sins are removed, the Lord is established in one's heart as an irrevocable fact. So chanting of the holy name is the mean to destroy all sinful reaction. Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, 13th chapter, verse number 23. Bhagavad Gita ends with the conception Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead and we should surrender unto him. Prabhupada said, just surrender. And then Srimad Bhagavatam begins with abandoning all the cheating religions and ends with Nam Sankirtan is the essence. Nam Sankirtan will free you from the entanglement of this material world, and Nam Sankirtan will take you back home, back to Godhead. Nam Sankirtan will give you Krishna Prema. Nam Sankirtan will give you enthusiasm. Nam Sankirtan will purify your heart. Nam Sankirtan, Nam Sankirtan, Nam Sankirtan. This is the Srimad Bhagavatam ends. Chaitanya Charitamrita reveals the mind of Krishna. It is the postgraduate study. Content is the process and practice of devotional service. Now, having understood devotional service as the topmost mean, what is the process and how do we practice it? Begins with, I will come to teach the process of chanting by practicing myself. In Adi Leela, Lord Krishna is telling to Narad Muni, during the end of Dwapar Yuga, he tells Narad Muni that I know Kali Yuga is coming, I will come again. He says, Narad Muni, I know Kali Yuga is coming. The people are becoming very degraded. Narad Muni asks, my Lord, who will save them? You are going now. And Lord Krishna says, I will come again. And I will teach people in this age of Kali how to practice devotional service, how to come to me. I will teach them. Don't worry, Narad Muni, go ahead. I will come. And then Lord Krishna came again as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And hence which Sri Chaitanya forgot himself throughout the entire day and night, being immersed in the ocean of ecstatic love of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came and at the ending of Chaitanya Charitamrita, at the end of Mahaprabhu's pastime, he forgot day and night and he completely absorbed into the Sindhu, the ocean of Bhakti Ras. And he gave in his life, he gave teachings to Rupa Goswami, and that comes out for us who are neophytes, who are beginners, who are immature, who may have many disqualifications. But this book comes out to us with an detailed understanding of how we can also attain that Amrit of Bhakti Rasa, how to become immersed in the ocean of ecstatic love for Krishna. Okay, any discussion so far? Then Summary. Bhakti, this is very nice. Bhakti is compared to ocean. Other paths are compared to rivers. Like, what are the other paths? Karma yoga is there, Gyan yoga is there, Ashtanga yoga is there. They are compared to the rivers, and Bhakti is compared to the ocean. I mean, those who perform Karma yoga, Gyan yoga, Dhyan yoga, Ashtanga yoga, they may derive some satisfaction. Ashtanga yogi, by remembering Vishnu in their heart, may derive some satisfaction. um, Karma yogi, by not being attached to the results of their activities and by giving a selfless cause to their results, may derive some pleasure there. Gyan yogi, by studying the Vedas and understanding the impersonal aspect of the Lord, may derive some pleasure, but they are compared to rivers, and Bhakti is compared to ocean. Other paths lead to Bhakti as river leads to ocean. All the rivers, ultimately the goal of all the river is to enter the ocean. Whether it is Mother Ganga, whether it is Mother Yamuna, Godavari, Sindhu, Kaveri, whatever the rivers are there, they all merge into the ocean. Likewise, whether one is practicing Karma Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, or austerities or various things, the goal of all the path is finally people may come to the path of Bhakti. So that's why Bhakti, this is another reason Rupa Goswami described it as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It does not say Bhakti Rasamrita Nadi, the river of devotional service. He says the ocean, because that's where everything merges. That's the essence. And the acharyas are compared to sharks, because sharks are found only in the ocean. Likewise, our teachers, the perfected souls, pure devotees, they are not interested. They are not, the sharks are not found in the rivers. Rivers are other path, karma, jnana, dhyana, ashtanga, and various other path. Our acharyas are not interested in other path. Sharks are found only in the ocean, or pure devotees, perfected souls. They are found only practicing bhakti yoga. There are many people, many spiritualists, and they all may be following various path back to Godhead. Uh, but they're like small fishes. But those who are our acharyas, like Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada, uh, uh, they are like sharks. They are only interested to stay in ocean, or they are only interested to experience the Bhakti Rasamrita, the rasa of Bhakti, the Sindhu, the ocean of Bhakti Rasa. Then there are 4 waves of ocean, which is basically northern wave, western wave, eastern wave. And the first wave is 4 waves of ocean, basically how this literature, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is divided. So first is devotional service in general. What is devotional service? What is the characteristic of devotional service? What is pure devotional service? What is impure devotional service? What is the benefit of devotional service? How devotional service begins? How devotional service can be obstructed? All these things comes under devotional service in general. That is the first wave that we will discuss. Second wave describes about more sincere devotee, which is how to practice regulated devotional service. First wave, devotional service in general, describes the benefits, the aspect, the beginning, the obstruction, general understanding. And the second one, okay, now how to practice devotional service every day, how to make it regulated. Regulated means regular. Regular means every day. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. How to do it every day. That is described in the second wave. The third wave describe how to practice and when to practice devotional service in ecstasy. This is very deep subject matter. Very advanced souls. We will still go through them. We will understand them. It will create hope for us. But to access that, to attain that, is a lifetime of sadhana, but we can still get some understanding. So what happens when one practices devotional service in ecstasy? What are the secondary symptoms? What are the primary symptoms? These are discussed in the third wave. And the fourth wave is devotional service in prema, which is goal of life. Krishna prema, love of God, that is described in the fourth wave. So in this way, there are 4 sections to this. Those who after get initiated, accept a spiritual master, get Harinam initiation, when they want to worship the Lord, the deities of Radha and Krishna in the temple, they need to go through a Brahman initiation. And ISKCON, or our General Body Commission, or GBC, or Srila Prabhupada has made the study of this aspect of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, all the four waves compulsory, understood, written exams, pass the exams till one attain that stage, then only one is allowed to worship Radha and Krishna in the altar. Because unless one understands these things, one doesn't know what one is doing. And ISKCON is meant for education on attaining Bhakti Rasamrita, attaining Bhakti Rasa Sindhu, going deeper, accessing it. Okay. So any questions so far?
Dhananjay Pranam Prabhuji, very grateful for session of an annuity. I joined little late, Prabhuji, but thank you very much for starting this session.
Prabhuji,
my
little
inquiry
louder,
is on
Prabhu.
the-
Anantari Prabhu, little louder.
So, Prabhuji, my inquiry is like whether there is any sequence of connection in these four waves. Prabhuji, can you hear me, Prabhuji?
Prabhuji, I can hear you. So you are saying the connection between these four waves.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
So what is your question, Prabhu? Or is there any connection? Is this your question?
Yes, Prabhuji. My question is like, is there a transition that happens in sadhaka's life naturally in these four waves? That's my query.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. So we go through these four waves, Prabhuji. There is Vidhi Marg, there is Raganuga Marg, there is Bhava Bhakti, and there is Prema Bhakti. And Vidhi Marg, we will discuss with charts and details the various stages of devotion, what is Vidhi Marg, what is Raganuga Marg, what is Bhava Bhakti, and what is Prema Bhakti. So there is Sadhana Bhakti. In short, Prabhuji, we will discuss in detail. There is Sadhana Bhakti, devotional service in practice. Then there is Bhava Bhakti in ecstasy. The goal of Sadhana Bhakti, devotional service in practice, is to perform devotional service in ecstasy. Sadhana Bhakti leads to Bhava Bhakti leads to Prema Bhakti. Sadhana Bhakti or devotional service in practice has these two paths, Vedi Sadhana Bhakti and Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. And the purpose of both of them is Bhava Bhakti and then Prema Bhakti. So this book takes us through these processes. Does it answer, Prabhu? Is that what you were looking for?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay. Any other question anyone has? Okay. So this is the last slide for today. Very, very important slide. Please try to understand what is Uttama Bhakti. What is Uttama Bhakti? This is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11. Anyabhilashita sunyam jnana karmadhyanavitam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttama. What is Uttam Bhakti or pure devotional service? It says one should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. It sounds complex, but it's very easy. Anya Abhilash, Abhilash means Shunya. Anya Abhilash means any desire other than pleasing Krishna. Shunya means zero. Zero is Shunya. Anya Abhilashita Shunya means no other desire, no other material desire. Spiritual desires welcome. Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness is transformation of desires from material to spiritual. From love in this world to love of Krishna, from pleasure for myself to pleasure for Krishna, from serving in this world to serving Krishna, from whatever you may think of. Spiritual desire remain, material desire zero. Anya Bilashita Shunya is one aspect of pure devotional service. Then if we perform devotional service with Abhilash, it is also bhakti, but it is not Uttama bhakti. It is not pure. It is not the highest form of devotional service. Then Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. Jnana Karma Adi Anavritam. Adi means everything else. Jnana Karma Adi. Ashtanga. Adi means etc. 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 All other path Anavrita means zero. Without, like here it says, without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation, no other path. Uttama Bhakti means only Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti. No Karma Yoga, no Jnana Yoga, no Ashtanga Yoga, no fill in the blanks. Now, what is Karma Yoga? It is said, and what is Jnana Yoga? How do we understand that Shuddha Bhakti, Uttam Bhakti is free from Jnana Yoga? Gyan is of two kinds. One is called unfavorable Gyan and one is favorable Gyan. Unfavorable Gyan is leads to the understanding that Krishna is impersonal, Krishna is voidness, like Buddhist. These are unfavorable Gyan or philosophical speculation that leads to wrong conclusions. This is called unfavorable Gyan. Favorable Gyan is Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, nectar of instruction, nectar of devotion, getting understanding of bhakti. This is favorable Gyan. When we say Jnana Karma Anavritam, Jnana Anavritam, free from Gyan, is free from unfavorable Gyan. Favorable Gyan is actually Bhakti Uttama. It is Uttam Bhakti. Then there is Karma. Karma is fruitive activities or activities mentioned in the Vedas. Um, uh, it is described, any activity done for material desire is karma. What is karma? Whatever work I am doing for material desire is karma. In Bhakti Yoga also we do karma. Karma does not mean just work. Karma means work for material desires. Like for example, we wash pots, we cook. So in a way, this is karma. Karma means duty. Karma means doing something. So we do karma. In fact, Narad Muni describes bhakti as when um, uh, uh, Rishikesha Sevana Bhakti Uchyate. Narad Muni wrote a book in Vrindavan on the bank of Govardhan. He resided there and he wrote a book called Narada Bhakti Sutra. In there, he describes bhakti. Bhakti has two definitions. One definition given by Rupa Goswami, one definition given by Narad Muni. Given by Rupa Goswami is Anya Bilashita Shunya Jnana Karma Anavritam, and the definition of bhakti given by Narad Muni is Rishikena Rishikesha Sevana Bhakti Uchyate. The bhakti is when Rishikena, which means senses, Rishikesha Sevanam, when senses are used to serve Rishikesh. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. So when we use our senses to serve Krishna, it is bhakti. When we use our senses to serve Krishna, it is bhakti. When we use our words, when we use our eyes, when we use our hands and legs, when we use our intelligence, when we use our mind, whatever, when we use our physical body, whether sweeping the floors, whatever we do in the service of Krishna is not karma. Whatever we do with material desire is karma. Whatever we do with a desire to serve Krishna is bhakti. So when we say Jnana Karma Anavritam, free from unfavorable Gyan, which leads to voidism and impersonalism and other fancy ideas about who is God, and free from desire to work from sense gratification. But work has to be there, service has to be there, Gyan has to be there favorably. Unfavorable Anavritam, without any desire for fruitive activities, without any desire for speculation. This is called Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. Anukulena Krishnanu means it has to be favorable to devotional service. It has to be favorable to Krishna consciousness. And Shilanam, Anushilanam. Krishna Anukulena Krishna. It is favorable to Krishna. Pratikulena Varjanam. Pratikul Varjanam means rejecting all that is unfavorable. Anukulena Krishna, favorable to Krishna. Anushilanam. Anushilanam means following the footsteps of previous acharyas. Anushilanam. Bhakti Uttama. This is Uttam Bhakti. What is Uttam Bhakti? Free from material desires, Anya Birashta Shunya, free from unfavorable Gyan, which leads to incorrect understanding, free from unfavorable karma, which is using the senses for sense gratification, which is then the what is rendered as favorable to Krishna. Sean Prabhu, yes. Okay, sorry, sometimes some spontaneous service comes since I moved here. Uh, okay, I guess that's the end. Anushilanam is following the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada, how Prabhupada performed bhakti, how Bhaktivinoda Thakur performed bhakti, how our devotees that we are in touch with, how they are performing bhakti, what they are doing, how they are doing. Um, this is called Anushilanam. So following favorable to Krishna, free from unfavorable Gyan and Karma, and free from any desire other than pleasing Krishna. This is called Bhakti Uttama. So, okay, so that's the end of our today's discussion. If there any discussion, we can take at this point of time.
Prabhuji, one small question.
Yes, Prabhu.
I have one colleague. I mean, he follows Krupalu.
He
That is
follows
actually different. Krupalu, they call him as Krupalu Maharaj.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, they also follow like
Krishna
Bhakti
Bhakti.
Rasamrita Sindhu. In
Yes.
fact, they follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's all principles.
Yes.
And they tell me that they don't follow Vaidika Bhakti, rather they start with, you said something next level, right?
Raganuga Bhakti.
Yeah, Raganubhava Bhakti, spontaneous love.
Yeah.
How is that possible, Prabhuji? I
Yeah.
mean,
So next time, avoid seeing their faces also, Prabhu.
okay. I mean, his colleague.
He says, yeah, and you know what they say? They say Kripalu Maharaj is incarnation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Raganuga Bhakti cannot be followed unless the heart is purified. Raganuga Bhakti is spontaneous devotion which is awakened within our heart, and one Mahaprabhu will bring us to that path when to the extent the heart is becoming pure. First, we practice Vedi Bhakti, and then we are patient. Directly following Raganuga Bhakti is clearly a sign of impatience. If they are following Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, how can they follow Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu when first 16 chapters speak about Vedi Bhakti and 17 chapters speak about Raganuga Bhakti, how they can skip first 16 chapter and go to 17 chapter and they say we are following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and we are following uh, uh, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Rupa Goswami. Tell me, Prabhuji. So obvious. So it's a misguidance. Does it help, Prabhu? Clear?
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, that's what I also.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? There are many such situations from in India, but we are very carefully following. That's why Anushilanam, we are very carefully following the succession coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami to Vishwa Chakravarti Thakur to Bhaktivinoda Thakur to Saraswati Thakur to Prabhupada, and then we are following him and our spiritual master. Okay, anything else? If not, then we are ready to end here. Okay, Prabhuji's Mataji's, thank you very much. We'll end here. Panchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhube eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnavendra ki jai. Srila Prabhupada. Dandar Pranam, thank you very much for
Hare
joining.
Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji,
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.